Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jade Alex. I'm an event producer and award strategist at Warner Brothers Pictures. I'm also on the board of Asia Society of Southern California and the Awe Committee. And I'm so excited to talk to you today about the power of creator and content marketing. As the internet and our phones and apps have completely taken over our lives, not just for entertainment, but for retail and fashion and food and paying our bills, traditional marketing has less impact, especially on Gen Z. So it's no surprise that marketeers like myself are turning to digital creators and celebrities and influencers like our panelists to create relevant content to attract and engage target audiences. So I want to thank our very exciting guests for joining us today as well. We have Paravi, a singer-songwriter who's taken the internet by storm, and her incredible covers with her soulful, unique voice. She first started uploading comedy sketch videos to TikTok and went viral with her a cappella cover, When I Popped Off, with 2 million likes. She's had a single released with RCA and worked with the likes of Dua Lipa and Katy Perry. We met when her cover of Suspicious Minds landed on the soundtrack of the movie Elvis, and she performed at the birthday party we hosted for Elvis. She just released an EP and a single entitled Blowing Kisses. We also have Julie Zhan, who's an actress, dancer, and filmmaker on the small screen and the big screen. She can be seen in Echo original Wizard School Dropout, and the sci-fi series Shatterbelt, which premiered at South by Southwest and is now on Apple TV and Prime. As a filmmaker, Julie co-directed, wrote, and starred in Zoetic, which received an HBO Visionaries Award. Next, we have Paris Berelc, actress and model, best known for her work on Disney XD's Mighty Med and Lab Rats, Elite Force, and Netflix Do Revenge and Alexa and Katie. She's a talented actress on the rise with huge influence, 2.7 million Insta followers, 4.3 TikTok followers, and I think she's got a new venture up her sleeve, so covering all bases. And lastly, we have Jessica Woo, a home chef artist and social media personality, also known as the Bento Box Queen. She went viral for her fun, culturally inspired bento box-style lunch creations for her 3 daughters. This sparked her journey as a pioneer of short-form content creation. She has 5.6 million TikTok followers, was honored as one of Vegas's 40 under 40 achievers, has collabs with LG, Kroger, Target, NFL, Lancome, Invisalign, Disney, and Little Spoon. So first off, if you could share with us, each of you, how you got started and playing in the digital space.
Well, I went to UCLA. Woo, go Bruins. And my freshman year, quarantine happened. And I spent 3 months in LA, and I loved every single second of it, and then all of a sudden, I was back in a cornfield in Ohio. So I spent every single second that I could to forget that I was not at college, and that meant turning to my phone and starting making content every single day. So I started posting comedy videos, singing videos, whatever I could get my hands on, and slowly but surely, a little audience started to follow along, and I was studying musical theater at UCLA. So I continued with my sophomore year online and continue to create content and continue to grow and grow and grow. And then all of a sudden one day it just kind of all clicked, and record labels came calling, and the management, agents, all the woo, ah. And yeah, I kind of ended up starting my music career just because I started posting some silly little videos. And here I am in front of you.
Wow.
I'm dating myself. I got started when YouTube started, so very different journey. I actually became friends with the OG, like J.K. Films, David So, Wong Fu, like the granddaddies of YouTube, because I produced a feature documentary called Uploaded the Asian American Movement, and it was all about how this new phenomenon called social media and new media was giving Asian Americans the opportunity to create and go straight to the audience as opposed to waiting for Hollywood or other people to give permission to be able to create. And it was just such a phenomenal thing that it inspired me to start acting because I believed it was viable finally. And instead of going straight to Hollywood, I then started content creating on YouTube alongside these people who sort of mentored me into it. And that is how I then got to transition into Hollywood, because if you don't have anything to show for, all the doors are closed. But the moment I was like, oh, well, I've already directed these things and I've written these things and I've acted in these things, I just created my own path, and I've been able to have a career as an actress and writer in Hollywood since. So.
Well, I had an Instagram when Instagram was just posting a random photo. So that's when I created my first social media account. And then I was an actress, or I am an actress, and as the years went by, then social media really started breaking out into a business. But I have my audience because of my acting career, not because I was creating cool content. It was just literally because I was acting in shows and movies. And then so from that, I started kind of curating what I wanted my brand to look like, and started working with companies and getting partnerships. And I wasn't going to make a TikTok. I was being very adamant on that. And then I worked on a show called The Crew. It's a Kevin James sitcom. And he was like, hey, we're gonna shoot this video, it's for TikTok. Would you do it with me? It's like this fight scene, and it's like this whole little funny bit about us fighting over the last piece of pizza in the office. And so then I was like, okay, I guess I'm making a TikTok because Kevin James told me to. So that's my little journey into the social media networks.
I have a big background in marketing, and I went to school for journalism and media studies, so I always wanted to be in front of camera or filming or editing in some sort of in that area, but I also was really good at marketing. So I went into journalism and media studies with a concentration in public relations and advertising. And I worked with advertising agencies, and so my social media background kind of started from then. I actually ran Trump International's Twitter, which is kind of funny because I was a big advocate for the Kamala Harris campaign this season. But so that's kind of my background with the social media for fun and for myself. My sister kind of always was like, please be a YouTuber. You have all these skills. I have a big background in art as well. Art is what I love to do. I love to create. I was a makeup artist for 18 years. So, she was really pushing me on the whole beauty YouTube era. And so I did try it for a little bit. And then I stopped because my house got broken into. And they took all my cameras and my laptop. So I stopped that for a little bit. And then TikTok came around. And then again, my sister, and they're a lot younger, so they kind of know, they were on it when it was Musical.ly. So my sister was like, hey, be on TikTok, why don't you do this? And I have 3 kids, and my oldest is in social media now, and so I am very involved with my kids. I want to know everything that they're doing, not in a helicopter way, but in more of a relevancy way. So, my kids were talking about it, my sisters were talking about it, and so I was like, okay, well, obviously I have to get on this thing, especially because my marketing side is always what's new? And so I went on there, made a few silly things, and then TikTok deleted my whole account. And so I was like, oh, well, it's not for me. And I was kind of butthurt about it because I went on and I was like, oh, my account's gone. Took a few months off and then went back, and then my sister was like, why don't you ever do your food? Your food is great. You cook every day for your kids, and you make these beautiful lunches. And, I had been doing this already for 5 years, making these lunches. And so my sister was like, put that on there. I put it on there. My first lunch video went super viral. And I gained I gained 1 million followers in 10 days because of my lunches.
Wow.
My second lunch video got 48 million views. So, I feel like I've worked up to everything that I've had because I've worked so hard in everything that I've done in my whole life. But so here I am, a mom. I'm 38, and a lot of people are like, oh, I'm too old to do TikTok, or I'm literally living proof that, you could be a mom making food for your kids. And now, like she mentioned, I worked with the NFL, that's so crazy, and Disney. And so I feel very grateful, but, I am here to talk about my journey as a mother also, so.
I love how diverse
Sorry, that was
everybody is and their paths to social media. I mean, Paravi and Julie, you both have really interesting stories. Like when you both started on social media, creating your own content, as you said, not waiting for permission to be an artist, and now you're transitioning into Hollywood. How did the transition happen? What does that path look like for both of you?
Okay. The transition kind of actually started online. Like I said, I ended up signing my record deal and all of these big fancy contracts because of my social media presence. And then returning to LA in person is really when I first felt, oh, this can translate to real life. This can translate to somebody sitting across from you. And it just manifested itself as getting recognized on my way to the studio, and then collaborating with different brands and different events and things like that, where it was more than just my social media presence. It was like, what are you creating next? What is the next project you're going to drop? What is the next single? Where is the next opportunity for us to use your platform and bring it into the real world from the virtual one? And I think it's a really interesting conversation to have about music in particular today, and how we can transition from influencers to established artists in the music industry, instead of just like, sing along challenge, I'm in my car, it's the song of the summer, But yeah, I think things have changed drastically since quarantine, even though it was just like 3 years ago that my life changed forever because of a little app. But yeah, I think nowadays it's definitely more difficult to get your like feet into the door. What is the metaphor I'm trying to say? Get your foot in the door. And there she is. Okay. To get your foot, both feet. Yeah, both feet in the door, and just establish yourself outside of the numbers, outside of views, all those types of things, because of the oversaturation. And there's just so many different factors at play now. I just feel very grateful for how I ended up with my feet in this door.
And Julie?
Man, it's been a journey. Well, I would say I did not know any rules when I started in YouTube, and I wish I continued that spirit going into Hollywood. I was like, oh, I want to produce a documentary. Okay, let's go do it. And we fundraised, and I learned how to produce as I was producing. Oh, I want to direct. Okay, learn as I go. Act, learn as I go. And it was so fun, and I can't even say it was brave because I didn't know I was breaking rules. And then I went into Hollywood, and everyone told me how things should be. And I actually have spent the last 10 years undoing that. So I'm still on the journey, and especially because when I entered Hollywood, there were still very, very few Asian actors and actresses, which I'm so glad how the number of talented people we're seeing constantly. And there's not one show, there's multiple shows. And it's not one Asian on a show, there's so many. But when I started, which wasn't that long ago, 13 years ago, I auditioned to be Adam Sandler's trophy wife, and they were like, you have to have an accent in this audition. And I was like, I don't know how to have an accent. And then this white guy was trying to teach me. And it was really, so starting from that place, I think I really struggled to keep my own voice once I entered Hollywood because of how many people told me how it should be. And I even had an exec tell me, oh, you should play the stereotypes first. And then once you book something with a stereotype, then you can kind of have more say. And it felt so icky to hear that. And being a people pleaser, being a rule follower, I was really struggling with my own identity and values and what I was being told to do. And so a few years ago, I dropped all of my big fancy reps and took a sabbatical. I started writing more. I'm currently developing a very absurd feature film and a TV pilot as well, and it's in my own voice, and it took a really long time to find it again. So I have a lot of gratefulness for YouTube and social media for allowing me to just start in my own voice, and then I lost it for a while, and I actually went back to watch some of my YouTube videos, which are very embarrassing. But at the same time, one of my friends just recently revealed to me, I was like, I'm gonna delete this Sailor Moon video I posted 10 years ago. And she's like, no, that is the first video where I felt seen as a weird Asian girl who also loved Sailor Moon. And I was like, oh my God, be your weird self. Don't ever let anybody take away your voice. And the last 4 years has been about finding that again in Hollywood. So
That's amazing. I mean, truly, it's such a long path, and gosh, good luck with everything. Jessica and Paris, content marketing goes beyond initially attracting your followers, and it plays a vital role in fostering long-term relationships and also being authentic. Looking at your feeds, clearly authenticity is so important to each of you, and building that trust with your followers. When you're teaming up with a brand or you're promoting your own project, do you ever feel like your content can come off as inauthentic or, to your supporters? How do you stay true to yourself while successfully collabing?
Lucky for me, a lot of the brands that I work with really know my content, and they want to work with me because what I put out there is real. These lunches that I put out is real. And I do a lot of vlogs and, what I do on a daily basis as a content creator and a mother and a lot of family stuff. So lucky for me, they come to me and they're like, all right, you do you. And I feel very lucky to have that, where they're like, okay, we like you for you, and, we don't want to stay away from your content. We want you to stay true to who you are. So I would say 90% of brands are like that, and I'm very happy because, I'm getting paid to post what I always post anyways. So, but there are a few. It's like the big brands where a lot of people are still older, and there's a lot of yeses and nos. So those I have to kind of just work with what I can. Obviously, with every ad, it doesn't matter how authentic it is, people just don't like it. You have an ad on your caption, they'll immediately be like, meh, sell out, and even though you're getting all this free content. So it's already like a negative thing, but the true people that follow you for who you are and what you're doing, they'll support you either way, and those are the ones that will, amp you up, and brands will want to work with you because you're authentic. So I don't know, I feel like you kind of have to give the brands what they want, but also stay true to yourself, because in the end, you're getting paid, but you're hurting because your engagement's down, your followers don't want you,
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, you gotta find that fine line. And you can say that too. I always voice my opinions. I don't want to say that. It sounds so robotic. So you just have to talk to them.
I've had a very interesting time navigating my presence on social media, especially because as an actress, people see me a lot as my character Alexa on Alexa and Katie. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like for a while when I was on my social media, I was really amping up that version of myself that was like, I'm really good, and I'm really I'm put together, and I'm happy, and I'm this, and I'm blah, it's all amazing. And I would get, when I would get partnerships, I would have ideas for if it was a perfume or if it was a skincare routine, I would have ideas for it, and I always felt like my voice was never heard, or even if like I did exactly what they wanted, I'd be like, clearly this looks weird. Can we change it? And they're like, no, like that's what we want. I'm like, all right, well, my audience is not gonna like this, so okay, whatever. But then last year I took a mental break from social media and I was off it for like 6 months. And I removed or I archived everything on Instagram, and I was like, I'm starting over. And like this new content that I start putting out is actually going to be me. Like it's not going to be a version of me. It's not going to be what everyone thinks that I am. Like it's going to be me, and if people don't like it, then whatever, it's fine. I would rather you not like me for me than like me for something that I'm not. So this past few months has been like me like rebuilding it and still kind of finding what that looks like and means to me. But a lot of it has been, you know, I'm trying to do more of storytelling through social media, and like those kind of like little short stories, or like, you know, like the moment on like when you do a double take, like you know, like moments like that are just kind of cute and also but creative at the same time, or you know, being vocal about my anti-human trafficking stuff because I'm an advocate for that, and so yeah, just now I'm just really trying to curate it to where when you look at it, it's like, okay, that's Paris. We don't really need to have any questions, like this is who she is. So that's my goal right now with my social media.
I love how social media is really helping each of you guys find your own voice and being authentic in that space. You know, for me, being an event producer, you know, I work on a lot of premieres, and this landscape for events has really changed with the growing popularity of influencers. We've, you know, done little changes like, you know, we'll open the carpet up for like an hour and give influencers their own time to get, you know, Getty photos or, you know, play on the carpet and create their own content. And I'm always being challenged to come up with creative backdrops and, you know, really fun experiences on the carpet to help promote our projects. I know Paris, like you guys go to a lot of events, I'm sure. Like, what can we as marketeers do better, make more fun, interesting spaces to create content, but also be better partners?
Well, I went to a premiere for the Minx, and they had this thing or setup, and it was like two people sitting at a table, and they couldn't hear you, or no, could they hear you? They had like really dark like glasses on, and they were all covered up, and they basically wrote a paragraph off of like their first impression of you. And it had nothing to do with you talking to them. It just, you literally walked up, they looked at you, and then they... You suck. Yeah, right? Like, you're awful. Like, go back to Wisconsin. And that's what they said. No, but they said really nice things and interesting things. And it wasn't like, they didn't write stereotypical nice things. Like, they were actually really thought out and deep. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so cool because it was very personal, but also you know nothing about me. You're literally just going off of my energy and like my human, basically. And I think personal things like that make events really fun because events are so phones, cameras, talk to this person. Like I feel like events can feel very surface level, and like you have to put on a mask. And so to bring in anything that is personal like that, I think is really cool because that really made me like, oh my gosh, like the Minx, like that was, whoever did that event was so good. Like whoever curated it was awesome because of that one thing that they had there.
Thank you. That sounds personalization. I love it. Make it smaller even for the larger audience. Paravi, I know we know that representation matters, especially when there are so few of us out there. We all represent like the rainbow of the Asian diaspora here. You're Indian, you're Chinese, Paris, we talked, you're Filipino, and Chinese, Korean, Hawaiian, you know. Do you often find that representing your culture it has a lot of pressure to it? Like, how do you represent your community when we're so complex and multifaceted and diverse?
I think that's a great question because I recently had kind of a big eye-opening moment about this. I released my self-titled EP last year called Paravi, guess who? And looking back now, I have a very different opinion on how I would approach creating that project. It was kind of like my reintroduction to the world as an original artist and not just a cover singer, not just like a TikToker or anything like that, but like a real artist with something to say. And throughout the project, I have a song called Broken English, which is about my parents' immigrant story. I wore my bindi, I wore a lot of Indian accents and things in the promotional and visual elements. But over the past year since its release, I've really taken a step back and realized that I'm such an advocate for representation because I grew up as a little brown girl who never saw somebody who looked like her on Broadway stages or on American Idol. And I set out to change that, but I realized that I started using those elements of my identity as more of a costume piece rather than truly being authentic to the fact that I'm born in Ohio. Like, I have an Americanized Indian experience, and that is valid. That third culture kid experience is valid, and that is what that's the most authentic version of me. And that is how I want to approach representation from now on, is just existing as I am and not forcing it. I love my Indian heritage. I love my American experience and upbringing, but just simply existing and not forcing it into what it should be and what I think it should be. That is proof enough to little brown girls who might be looking at my page and looking at what I create. That is proof that it's okay to be yourself. That's what representation truly is at the end of the day. It's just accepting that how I show up right now and how I show up who I am is enough. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to put on bells and whistles for you to accept me. I don't have to do less for you to accept me. It's just who I am.
Thank you. Thank you for being authentic for yourself, but also your followers and like the next generation. Jessica, you're a mom, just like me, and I know that you want to do everything for your children, you know, just to make sure that society is a place where we feel proud of passing on to the next generation. Having been established in the digital space now, like, how do you leverage your platform to voice what matters to you? I know you do a lot of advocacy work.
I basically just post what I want. So, like, most people know that I post what I care about and I'm a very passionate person, and people see that from my content. You know, I'm passionate about my kids. I'm passionate about food. I'm passionate about, you know, fashion and whatever I want to do. And like, I just can't hold things in as a person. So if I care about, like, you know, I didn't want Trump winning at all for my girls at all. So I posted about it, you know. I literally when he won, I put F Trump, like that was it, you know. And sometimes I'm like, I probably should reel it in, but that's just who I am, and I like really can't keep things inside. And I think that's what helps people know that I'm real, because I am pretty raw. You know, I don't ask my managers, like, this is what I'm doing. I dyed my hair bright blue for Kamala Harris. And, you know, I just do things and I just don't think about it. I'm not an overthinker. I go back and rethink what I did. I do that. But I definitely don't regret anything still. So what I say is just, you know, number one, be yourself. You know, no matter what content you put, whether you're an actress or a singer or a mom, you know, put out your real stuff, because that's what social media is. You know, it's reality TV without all the edits from every other people, you know? So put out the life that you want to live and what you want to say, because this is yours. You know, I built this following myself. Nobody helped me. I made over 600 videos my first year because I, wanted to work hard and I wanted to grow my following. So, yeah, that's it. Like, just do it. Don't overthink it, because that's when people stop. All those steps stop because you're thinking too much of, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? I, risked my safety for doing this stuff. I risked my brand deals. But you know what? I didn't care because I cared about what I cared about so much. And in the end, I got my biggest brand deal yet, So people will see who you are and what you stand for. And I stand for women. I stand for equality and minorities. And, that's really important to me. So it's there regardless of if I lost over 200,000 followers because I did, advocacy stuff. But that's just, for me, it's fine. So you just have to, play that game. If you want to be safe, that's fine too. But we all have a voice for a reason.
Content creation is such a powerful tool, and it's definitely shaping your brand identity. Julie, you started in the YouTube creating your own content in your own space, and there are so many avenues to reaching the audience now in this ever-evolving digital landscape and transitioning into Hollywood. What advice do you have for aspiring content creators?
This is actually stolen from Mark Duplass, but the cavalry is not coming. And whether you're a very, very, very successful person in Hollywood or you're just getting started in content creation, I think at the end of the day, use your voice, create what you want, and connect to people in the most authentic way that you can. And I think that gets you so far. And so anyone that's always come up to me and asked, like, how do you get started in Hollywood? I always say, make your own stuff, use your voice, tell your stories. And they have to, everyone I think has been so inspiring in saying that in one way or another. But we all have a very, very unique voice and a very unique experience. And so everyone's story deserves to be told. And just like I may be representing a very tiny part of the Asian American story, just as you are, they're all very different as well. And we need everybody's voices so that we can keep just giving representation to marginalized groups and spread empathy. I think now more than ever, please use your voices. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your authentic voices online and social media, but here in this panel today. And we're going to wrap it up and move on to the next one. Thank you again.